Hello, and thank you for joining us for the Fragile Decade presentation. My name is Sean McDermott. I'm the president of Summit Investment Advisors, and I'm joined here today with Jeannie Underwood-Cotner. She's a senior vice president at Global Atlantic Consultant. We are going to talk about year three, which is 3 years to go prior to retirement, and we're going back to the happiness pillars in focus. So we talked about money and income, health, and now in year three, we want to talk about staying connected and purpose. So Jeannie, go ahead and take it away, please.
All right, thanks, Sean. Okay, let's share here. What does year three into the fragile decade, what does that look like? Okay, so we're 3 years in. We're getting closer to that day that we step into retirement. There's a lot going on this particular year, and so here are the checklist items that we encourage to have a conversation about. Okay, number one, where are we going to live? Okay, so when we pulled all the research, there really are 3 main categories of where people decide to live in retirement. There's this concept called aging in place. And what aging in place is people say, you know what? This is home base. This is where we're going to live. If we take a little trip, extend a trip here and there, that's fine. But we are going to live here. We're going to hunker down, and this is home base. Then there's the concept of the snowbirds, which were my grandparents. And so the snowbirds they spend 6 months of the year, maybe where they're from, and 6 months in the year where they head south and head to warmer climate. And then there's the people that just get up and move somewhere else, somewhere new, or someone they've been vacationing at for years. But those are the three main categories. So it's a very important conversation. Let's really think about this. Let's visualize this. You know, it's not that you have to make that decision right when you step into retirement, but let's think about that, because that has to be a part of the overall plan. And so this is a part of the kind of the getting inspired and designing the next phase. That's an important part to understand where you're going to live. So the third item here is consider home upkeep if appropriate. And what that means is, I think this applies more to the people that want to age in place. And so we actually, this idea was shared with us is another financial professional is what they encourage is their clients that if you're going to age in place, they encourage a full home inspection at this point in the fragile decade. And so what that means is, look, if you're going to age in place here, let's do a whole home inspection. And so let's identify today those big ticket items that will need to be taken care of. So let's say a new roof is imminent, new furnace, air conditioning, you name those big ticket items. Let's identify them today. Let's get them taken care of today. Because in retirement, those items are considered shock expenses. And our job in financial services is to help you avoid the shock expenses in retirement. So I thought that was a wonderful exercise to consider. Let's talk about home upkeep and some other things and how are we going to finance those things? Well, a lot of people like that having access to the home equity loan, and I think that's great to have access to that, but let's do that today. Let's do that now. Let's get you approved for that today, because what the banks tell us is that sure, it can be done in retirement, but it's much more difficult. And so what they say is that if you want that as a part of your overall plan to take care of that today while you're still working versus when you're retired. So let's talk about that. Let's continue those spring cleaning exercises. Let's audit how we're spending our money. Let's make sure that we're deploying our money properly to align with our future goals. And we always, at the end of every year, we want to rerun and review those retirement income plans and making sure that we're on track to achieving those. And those really do align with how we want to live our life in retirement. I know this is a lot, but we're getting closer. Sean, how do these steps? How do these sound to you?
Yeah, you know, that it reminds me of the different stages of retirement that and you may have heard this before. There's the go-go years, the slow-go years, and the no-go years.
Yes.
And how, you know, I see it in the retirees that we work with. In the go-go years, you know, they're saying, oh, you know, we love our home. We like the size of our home. We're having our grandkids and a family over to our home. It gives us something to do with our garden and, you know, working on the house. And we use that as our home base. And then, eventually when I have clients that, after the first 10 years of retirement, then they start to slow down a little bit and they start to think about maybe moving to single level living.